Hi and welcome to XeroRaider Gaming. I'm Zero, and today I decided to try something different for the channel. Seeing as I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan, Assassin's Creed Syndicate came out today, and as opposed to doing a Let's Play, which I felt would have been too long and arduous and would have actually taken away from me actually experiencing the game by, playing it for myself, I'm going to give you my first impressions the first hour of the game and let you guys know if I liked it or not. So let's begin! So here we have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, a game that when it was revealed, I wasn't too impressed with. And I don't know if that's because Metal Gear Solid 5 was being announced and I was too excited about that and it overwhelmed the Assassin's Creed thing, or because by the time I was finally finished with Unity and Rogue, it felt so dry and overdone that I was just about to wash my hands of the series and be done with it. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Unity, and Arno is probably one of my favorite Assassins to date. That's right under Connor. But the game, I don't know, it was so glitchy when it came out, and it just never felt completely fixed. They fixed it, but I just don't feel like it was completely fixed. It was too broken to begin with. And honestly, that's my opinion, but that's just how the game left me. I beat it, I played through some of the Dead Kings DLC, and I never finished it. I was constantly running into glitchy spots, I was falling through buildings, the animations felt dry in the combat. Arno was still a little glitchy, being stealthy was still glitchy, just everything when I finished the game, it never felt finished to me. Mind you, some of the cutscenes were really hilarious and they did make me chuckle, just seeing people having panic attacks in trees. I would see people running and walking into walls and stuff, and when you're just exploring France, that's really cool. But as far as all out gameplay, it wasn't as good as 3 in my opinion. So by the time they inevitably announced Syndicate, I was so underwhelmed by that I was just like, I'll play it, but I'm done with it. And me being a slave to branding, I went out and pre-ordered it, and I got the gold edition because the concept of me being able to hunt and kill Jack the Ripper was too good of a bargaining chip for me to pass up. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with the gameplay so far. I will say we'll probably never know what the beginning of Unity was about. From what I recall, you started the game and you got this timeline sequence of a bunch of tiles, and you could only choose one, and that puts you in the beginning of Unity, and you never saw that again. I don't know if they showed that in Chronicles. I never played Chronicles. I didn't feel like buying Chronicles. The side-scrolling thing just didn't appeal to me. So if that's what they did for that, leave a comment and let me know. But as far as I know, that was just there and you never see it again. This one starts off with a woman talking to you about Sean and Rebecca infiltrating the Templars finding a new piece of Eden, blah blah. Which, I will say, I've never been impressed with the past, present, or future aspect of the game. I always felt it took away from the experience because most of the time, in 1 through 3, you were Desmond solving puzzles. I hated Desmond's character, and I thought it was ridiculous and just a way to fill time in the game, and it took away from the experience for me. And then I was so done with being an Abstergo employee by the time I started Black Flag. It was just stupid, and they brought that back in Rogue, and I just thought it was even stupider. And to be completely honest with you guys, I was so happy when they both finally died. I don't remember if the Abstergo employee died. That's how much I didn't give a crap about that subplot. And the best way for them to possibly bring back the Desmond Mild scenes is to kill him again and again and again. And that's not to say that I'm not curious about the future of the Assassins and the Templars. It would be really cool to play a modern day assassin fighting the Templars, and they kind of show that, I think, in the beginning of this game. You see a little thing sticking out of Sean's wrist, which looks like maybe a future hidden blade, and it looks like that Sean and Rebecca are gonna have like actual quarrels with the Templar. But I don't want to have to do mini puzzles and just breaking in to go find something. All it is a run puzzle and then a cutscene. It's stupid and it's a waste of time. In my opinion, one of the things Unity did right was they took that away entirely. All of the present or future aspects of the game were told through cutscenes, and where you did have to play it, it was your Animus glitching up and you were actually Arno going through different spots in France's timeline, climbing the Eiffel Tower during World War II, going through, I think it was 1800s France. That was really cool to me, and that was a good way to incorporate the fact that you're not in this timeline, you're playing somebody, playing a member. The combat in Syndicate looks and feels glorious. Unity, I recall, they tried to change up the combat in a way that it would be harder for you to take on groups of enemies. Like, I remember being in Assassin's Creed 3, and I could drop down rather into like a group of redcoats and just annihilate them with a tomahawk. I don't think I used any other weapon but the hidden blade and the tomahawk, which was fun. I'm not gonna take that away, but Unity did it in such a way that it still felt like I was just button mashing and murdering enemies when I got to a certain point. Syndicate may do that in the future, but right now the combat feels a lot better. The brawling with Jacob has a lot more weight, and it actually feels like I'm brawling as opposed to just like I'm a superhuman assassin and I can kill you lesser henchmen. It really, like, the attacks have weight to them, and like I said, it just feels like you're brawling with these people, and it's really cool. And one of the pluses to me is that Jacob feels as vicious as Arno and Connor, which is one thing I really enjoyed about those two characters. I will say this, I was never a fan of Assassin's Creed 1 or 2 or the games after 2. I just couldn't get into them. The mechanics were just too wonky. 3 was the one that brought me into the series, and being Connor and being like this vicious Native American, that was really cool to me. And then going back, and Arno was just so like bloodlusty, it seemed like his attacks were so vicious. You're not losing any of this with Jacob, as far as I can see. Evie as well. They both are just super just like into it, and it's really awesome. Like, Evie has this awesome like pole staff, like, I don't know, scythe, like murder weapon that looks like it's used for like bleeding livestock, and you use it to like rip your enemy's throat out and stuff like that as you're like finishing them off, and that's cool. I've slit people's throats with Jacob, and that sounds really gory, but I'm a guy, and that's that's why you play video games, to live out whatever. I don't know. One thing as far as mechanics go is Jacob will actually listen to you and do what you tell him to do. There was a part in the game where I was fighting, and I was in the middle of breaking a henchman's defense where another henchman came up and I needed to counter, so I pressed circle, turned around, and I immediately stopped the breaking of the defense and countered the other enemy, and then going back to enemy A. Whereas in previous games you could do that, but it was so slow that by the time you broke doing task A, you were already taking damage and like just completely interrupting the flow of combat, and then had to stop, and then, you know, that thing where like re-stalking your enemies and blah blah. And it always seemed like you were breaking the flow of the combat. This feels more fluid, and it makes the combat a lot better. Also, going back to Jacob and Evie, they feel like two distinctly separate characters. Now, I know they're twins, and that's a stupid thing to say. And I don't know if that's just my playstyle. I played Jacob a lot more aggressive. I would run into enemies and just, you know, fight whomever I needed to fight. I'm a big, bulky guy, so I'm gonna brawl and kick ass and take names and chew bubblegum and all that happy mess. With Evie, I played her a lot more cunning, climbing up stuff, dropping down on enemies, assassinating enemies. Now, I would get into open combat, but that was only as needed, and that's kind of how I played them. And I'm not sure if that's how the tutorial was set up, or if that's how the characters are set up, but they really feel like two different characters, which is something I was worried about hearing, that they had two characters. They would just, you'd be playing two assassins doing the exact same thing. You'd have two Connors, two Edwards, you know, something like that. And I'm glad that they give that feel to them that lets me, you know, play them like that. It's something nice, it's something refreshing, and I'm not going to get into the fact that Evie's a female lead. I know that somewhere on the internet somebody's butthurt that she's only playing secondary character to Jacob, and that's stupid. You're stupid. Shut up. I will say that Evie's a good lead character, and I'm glad that we finally have a strong female character in this series. Your ranged counters are a lot better. In previous games, you would see a triangle or a Y pop up, and it would be an enemy shooting at you, in which case you would grab the closest enemy, bring him in front of you, and the bullet would hit that enemy and kill an enemy, which was always cool to make the enemy kill through their own ranks. However, in this one, it seems like every time you go to counter a ranged attack, you hit triangle or Y, and you either dodge the bullet, which is freaking cool, or in some cases I would actually dodge and then huck my knife at the enemy shooting at me, and that would take out that enemy, leaving me to focus on the enemies at hand, which was a lot better because you don't get that repetitive, like every 5 seconds I need to grab an enemy and have this guy kill him. I can take out the ranged enemy doing that and then focus back on the enemies that are in my vicinity, and it makes the combat feel, again, more fluid and a lot more better than any of the previous games. Speaking of combat, Jacob's first mission ended while you're fighting thugs atop a moving train, which is freaking amazing. That whole thing was awesome. It's something that you see in countless like westerns or stuff like that. It is like so badass. I'm glad I finally got to like live through that. It was a really good opening to the game. One thing I will remark on is that the assassination scenes are kind of weird to me. Usually you go, you kill your target, the target's laying and bleeding out or whatever, and you kind of like discuss information with them, which is fine, I get that. This one, however, you assassinate your target and the dialogue is more so like you're talking to them in a room. You still have the same white backdrop and you're still hovering over the guy, but when he speaks, he's standing up and talking to you much like I am now, whereas it felt better to me that like in his dying breaths, you're getting this information out from him. And I don't understand why you're collecting blood from your enemies. I don't personally remember doing that in the previous games, but I could be wrong. It's a little macabre, but it's London. This is the industrial age. What are you gonna do? The free running also feels better to me. One of the reasons I could not get into 1, 2, Brotherhood, or Revelations is the free running was just, it felt off. I didn't like it. 3 was really good because you just held X and ran, which that was fine. I dug that, and that's kind of a hard habit to break because they did change that in Unity and Syndicate. I don't really recall Rogue. I kind of just sped through Rogue, so I'm not going to mention that one a whole lot. But it seems to me that they took the good from 1, 2, and the 2 games leading into Ezio's story, and they took the good from 3 and then combined that to make this new system that they have. And again, I'm going to remark on Unity. Unity had what feels like the exact same system, but Unity, again, was so buggy and so broken when it came out. And again, by the time they fixed it, it just still never felt complete. So this one's a breath of fresh air. Like, I was constantly, in Unity and the games before it, running into walls and running into walls that I can't climb, trying to get into walls that I can climb for whatever reason. There's no difference in the two. I was constantly just flailing around the city, flailing around the rooftops. I would run across the roof, go on something that I couldn't jump off of, fall to the ground, have to do it all over again, and it just kind of took away the stealth aspect. I was constantly trying to sneak up on a target, and I would just fall right in front of me, like, oh, he's dead. So this one I can feel like I can be a lot more stealthy just because the free running is a lot better. It just feels a lot better. I can't really put that into words. Just as I'm playing it, I don't feel like a fish out of water just flopping around the streets of London just stabbing Templar here and there. I actually feel like I'm doing something, and I feel like I'm stalking prey. That's what it feels like to me. Also, you get like a stealth ring around you, and it's been so long since I played Unity, this could have been in Unity as well, I don't remember it, but it basically shows you when enemies see you, and it shows sound waves of enemies around you in stealth mode. And I don't know, I like it a lot. It reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 4, which that's one of my all-time favorite series. So any throwbacks to that, I will automatically salivate over your game. That's just who I am. But it helps you locate the enemy presence. Also, they have tagging enemies with Eagle Vision back, which is amazing. I loved it when they brought that into Splinter Cell. I love that when they put it in Assassin's Creed. I want to say Black Flag did it first. It helps you keep track of the enemy's movements while not putting a bulky radar in the top left corner of your screen, which there's nothing wrong with that. I've played plenty of games like that, but it just wouldn't fit with Assassin's Creed. So it helps you keep a good perspective as to where you are in the map to where your enemies are, and it helps you like sneak around and like find new entryways into getting to your target, other than just running around blind and like, you know, fighting off Templar like they're just like fish in a barrel and then, oh, here's the big fish, stab, done. It kind of adds the gameplay to me a little bit. Also, it feels like to me that the Templars are again like an evil entity in the game. I like the morally gray aspect of 3 through, I want to say Rogue. Haytham's story was really cool. Edward's story was really cool, having that father as a Templar. I think that it kind of peters out a little bit. Like, it petered out to me in Rogue. Like, yeah, you have your good Templars and you have your good Assassins and vice versa, but this one feels like you're fighting for the greater good, whereas the Templar are just trying to like keep a stranglehold on London with the child labor and everything like that. I get that the two factions are the same, like two sides of the same coin, but it always feels better to me, and I'm sure anybody else playing any game, when you're the overwhelming good force stomping out the evil force. It just makes you feel better. I still don't understand the whole, like, when you finish a mission, you have the thing pop up, rate this mission, you know, however many stars out of 5. They brought that in with Black Flag. I hated it. It takes me out of the game. It's stupid. It's pointless. I don't understand why it's there. I don't see Ubisoft taking the ratings from each mission. Like, how can we make these missions better? If you're taking that data, that's great, but there are better ways to do that than like propping up a rating system at the end of each story mission. I like being immersed in a game. I grew up playing single-player story-driven games, and you get immersed in like the old Final Fantasies. You play that for hours because you're immersed in the story. And I don't need anything taking me out of that because it lowers my playtime. And I don't know if that's something they're intentionally trying to do or not, but it's stupid and I hate it to take it away and burn it. Other than that, everything from Unity kind of stays the same as far as like your inventory and your shop. Your shop is still in your menu, which is great. I like that a lot better. I never understood why Connor could run around colonial New York and just find a tailor and be like, hey, make me an assassin's robe. Just make it. You have it. You have these and give me these, and don't ask anybody why. All in all, this game still feels like an Assassin's Creed, but it feels a lot more polished than Unity and Rogue. A lot of people crap on Unity because it was broken, and I was one of the advocates that they did fix it. They did fix it. I don't understand marketing, and I don't pretend that I do, but I feel it was rushed to meet a holiday deadline, and that's why it was so glitchy. And yes, it was terrible, it was glitchy, but they fixed it. They did fix it to an extent, and it was playable. And it was a good game. This feels better, and that's awesome to me, because like I said at the beginning, I was so just underwhelmed when I saw it. I really like these games. I'm a big fan of these games, and when I watch that and that feeling in the pit of my stomach, like, is it going to be the same crap that I had to deal with in Rogue and Unity and everything else? That's gone. Like, you've got me back, Ubisoft. Congratulations, you won me back. The characters are great in this, the combat is great, the graphics are beautiful, the environment's great. Actually being able to, as far as I understand, participate in the gang wars of London is amazing. That was a cool point in history, and I'm glad I get to live that vicariously through Jacob and Evie. One of the biggest missed opportunities to me for Unity, as far as all the glitchiness and everything aside, was the fact that the revolution was happening, but it was a backdrop to Arno and Elise's love story. And that, to me, was a big mistake. Being able to actually participate in one of the goriest times in history, as far as I'm concerned, would have been really cool. And that was honestly a huge drawing point, or rather selling point to me to get the game. The voice acting is a lot better, and I say that not, the voice acting in the other games was good. Another thing that really irked me with Unity was the fact that you're in France. Everybody's speaking with a posh British accent. Ubisoft is a French company, and you can't tell me that they could not find French voice actors in France for a game that was set in France during one of the most important times in France. I'm sure you had British people in France at that time, but French people should sound French. Also, again, I get to hunt Jack the Ripper, and you can't say no to that. Order of 1886 hinted at it, but it's just werewolves and vampires, and it's no Jack the Ripper, and it's okay, I guess. So way to go, Ubisoft. Again, you won me back. I just really hope this is a running trend in all of the other games you're planning to release this year. Oh my god. Again, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this and sticking through it. If this is something that you enjoyed, do me a huge favor and like the video for me. If this is something that you want to continue seeing from me, leave a comment in the video. I may start doing it with games that you suggest, who knows. I enjoyed making this. I always enjoy putting fresh content on this channel, just kind of liven things up a bit. And again, this will not take place of any of the content on our channel. This is something that I just like to do. It's something that I want to do. And again, it's just extra videos. And you can't be mad about bonus things. You can't. And if you are, that's weird. And you should go see a doctor because you're sick in the head. And again, down in the description, we'll have a code for tblocks.com. 15% off your first month subscription. Check them out. They're an amazing company. You get amazing gear from them. All of our social media links are in the description below. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!